What's going on? This is Joe. This is the Real Estate Investing Mastery Podcast. We're going to be talking to a good friend of mine, Zack Boothe. So this guy's a beast, and he's been known as the driving for dollars guy. And we're going to be talking a little bit about driving for dollars because it is one of the best ways to do real estate deals. But he's also been getting into land. And they've done about 5 deals since they started 5-6 months ago. And I think we should bring Zack on. What do you say, Zack?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. It's good to be back here.
I've had you on my show before a couple times, I think. We've talked about driving for dollars. You've got a great program. You've been doing that. I love driving for dollars. As a strategy for getting deals, because you go out and you're basically looking for cars from your car. You're looking for properties that are needing updating. You know, the windows are damaged. The gutters are hanging. Yard's not been mowed in a long time. And you basically skip trace the owner and call them or send them a letter or postcard. Is that right?
Correct. Yep. Keep it simple. You're trying to find someone that has a thorn in their side that they want to get rid of. And so you look for those houses that obviously aren't loved and see if they're willing to sell to an investor or not. That's it. It's pretty basic if you have the right systems in place.
And then what's the favorite way to, are you doing this driving yourself, or are you outsourcing this to other people, hiring them to do the driving for you?
Yep. So we add 4,000 addresses every single week. So we're finding 4,000 ugly houses every week between Utah and Florida. And we have one driver in Utah and one driver in Florida. That is it. It does not take a ginormous team to do this. This is in Utah, we were only doing 2,000 a week, and we're doing $1 million a year in Utah. We just kind of really started ramping up Florida. So we're not quite to $1 million a year yet in Florida with our driving for dollar system. But yeah, this should be $2 million a year, just that many addresses.
I love this because how many people are doing this really?
To my level, none.
0. Nobody's doing this. Maybe they used to do it. Maybe it was kind of competitive back then, but nobody's doing this, right? And the great thing about this is you are finding deals, Zack, that aren't on any lists that you can download and buy, right? That's
why it works so good.
Yeah. You're going into great neighborhoods where there's a lot of investor activity, right? Or rehab, landlord activity. And you're paying these people to go look for properties that are derelict, that need updating. They put them into their phone on an app or something. I think you're using DealMachine, or something else?
Yeah, we're using DealMachine. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Glad I didn't mess that up. And then, because there's a lot of good tools out there, that's probably the best one. And then
it is by far the best one.
Those leads come in. You skip trace and call them, or how are you handling that?
Yeah, so we text, cold call, and send postcards. But we're also, a major thing, like you said, there's a lot of properties on that list that are not on other lists. And it's very interesting how many people come onto my podcast, the Driving for Dollars Mastery podcast, and say, we found this seller, we made $60,000 passing it to an investor. We wholesaled the opportunity, and the house had sat vacant for 7 years, 10 years, 5 years. Wow. Right? It's insane because you get weird situations like the people died and the only person to inherit the house is in jail and estranged from the family. And so when they see that it's been vacant, when you use DealMachine, you can actually tag the vacant houses. You can tag the worst of the worst, the ones that are like, okay, something's super fishy going on. So when you touch the property, imagine you have a Google Maps image, and all you got to do is touch the property and it'll upload it to your list. But you can then click another button that tags it, and we'll put in, when you export that Excel spreadsheet, one of the columns is special tags. So you'll be able to have that subsection of properties that you want to go back and door knock the neighbors or spend a little bit extra effort trying to find the situation because you know that there's more money there. We door knock and very few properties, but it's crazy how many huge deals that we do from this.
How are you paying your driving guys, the people that are out there driving? How are you paying them?
So a lot of people think, I'm going to hire all these different people that are already driving, Uber drivers, mail carriers, things like that, pay them a commission. And it's a huge mistake because you don't get consistency. You're kind of at their mercy if they feel generous enough to work for you that day or not. So you're better off to set a goal of how many properties you want to add each week. And the way we compensate is we just pay hourly plus we offer some bonuses. So we pay $20 an hour, up or down depending on where you're at in the country, right? If you're in a, average, median economy, $20 an hour is decent enough. You want to pay well. So maybe you got to go up to $30, $40 an hour if you're in somewhere like California where cost of living is extremely high. And then you do, you cover gas if they hit their goals. So if their goal is 500 properties for a week or 1,000 a week, if they hit that goal, you pay for their gas. So it incentivizes them to hit the goal. And then if they close a deal, you give them an extra $100 to $300 per deal, right? Which will incentivize them to make sure they add properties that are actually going to turn into something. So they're not just tagging randomly.
Which is interesting too, because I think a lot of people, when this was first a thing, were trying to pay their drivers just 100% commissions. Right.
And I did that. Cost me so much money.
That's fascinating because there's also licensing issues that come with that, right? Like if you're paying somebody for bringing you leads or bringing you deals, you could argue that's brokering activity, but now you're just paying them as an employee, which is probably, I would guess, more above board and simpler. And you're saying it's at the end of the day, you actually are paying less. Is that right?
Yeah, so if I'd have compensated at $20 an hour plus the, pay for gas plus pay $100 per deal, in the first 7 months or so, first 6 to 7 months that I started doing this, I was paying 20% of the deal to my drivers. And I calculated the difference. If I would have paid the commission versus the hourly, paying the commission like I did, I overpaid by over $70,000. Serious. Yeah, I was like, ouch. That was a painful learning lesson.
Well, lesson learned, but thank you for doing that for us, because now we know what not to do. Wow. Yeah. Okay. What got you interested in land, vacant land?
So more than anything, I want to make more money. So for me, it was, we have an amazing culture here in Utah with my employees here. We were kind of struggling building culture. We've since fixed that with our Florida team, right? With our sales reps out there and our driver and so forth. And we've got that fixed. But before that all started taking place, I was looking for something that I could do more virtual. So I looked at virtual wholesaling. I looked at, then virtual land was next. And I couldn't find really people that were actually doing what they were teaching when it came to virtual wholesaling, right? Like that weren't actually making money with it. And there's a lot of guys that are doing virtual land that I like and trust and respect. You're one of them, right? Ray's another, and some others that I think have actually been on your podcast.
Yeah.
And so, kind of asking around, I was like, man, this is exactly it, because I can have my acquisition guy that's crushing it, doing $1 million a year in wholesale fees here in Utah, service some leads. Let's test it, right? He can do it all over the phone, all virtual. Let's throw some marketing out in the world and let's see if it actually works.
Nice.
So it was just kind of a test. We weren't sure if it was going to work. We started testing about 7 months ago, and it's turned into a whole thing.
Done about 60 grand in profits.
Yeah, we done exactly 60. I can break this down. Actual realized net, or like actual profits after we bought then sold them. What we got to take home was $63,000, $63,597.64.
Flipping 5 vacant lots.
5 vacant lots is all.
All right, I got to do my disclaimers here, guys. Listen, Zack is an exceptional investor. He's not your typical guy. He's very atypical, right? He's a massive action taker. I have to say this because it's just true. Most people don't have that kind of success. Most people who get into real estate investing don't make any money in the business. Most people fail and quit and give up. But the few of us who do persist and do deals and never quit and just grind it and do a lot of marketing and work really hard have success and do deals. So I'm going to ask you questions here in a minute, Zack, of like what kind of marketing were you doing and stuff like that. But
well, just so you guys know too, that's we have 8 more. That's just what's like since the beginning of the year that we bought and sold done. We have 8 more that I've bought. We own them. We have them listed. and our projected profits off of those 8 is well over 100 grand, and that's the
Bam.
profits off those 8. So really,
Love it.
it could be darn near $200,000 already in revenue.
I love it. Okay,
Yeah.
so what did you do? How did you pick your markets?
Um, yeah. So a lot of it was the amount of volume of transactions that are happening, right? So we went into, oh man,
Well,
we
by the way,
checked
I'm so
our,
hold on. You don't have to tell us the specific counties if you don't want. So like maybe
okay.
states are okay. Tell us like north, south, east, west, or
Yeah, we found that like Texas was a really good one, right? More than anything, we just went kind of state by state. And you can do this in your own state. Like I have a student, Brian Hemmerly. You probably should have Brian on your podcast, by the
yeah.
way.
Will you put me in
I
touch with
just
them?
found,
Thanks.
yeah, I will. Brian, I didn't know this, but he started doing land. He's in Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky. This can be done anywhere, right? And you probably should start in your own backyard. I probably should have started in my own backyard, but and I kind of, anyways, we just started looking at different states, and what we were looking for is how many pieces of land that have sold in the county, and we were looking for counties that had volume, right? I wanted this to be a volume business. I wanted to not spend very much per deal, so I expected my average deal size to be smaller, around that $10,000 to $15,000 range, because I only wanted to, spend $5,000 to $15,000 per deal to buy them, and to spend on marketing to then make $10,000, $15,000 back. And as far as profits after all expenses. And so I looked for counties, and I literally just went to Zillow in Redfin, and I looked up the different counties, and in the last 6 months, how many vacant lots had sold in that price point, anywhere between $10,000 to $200,000, right? And I was like, I just wanted to see that there's a volume of land that's being sold.
Well,
And
you're
most people,
following the
oh,
money.
yeah, I'm following the money. And most people think, oh, well, that's where the competition is. We got to go find this little niche hole that nobody knows about, right? And it's the same concept that I use with driving for dollars. If you want to know where the deals are being done, where to go do your driving, get on wholesalers' cash buyers lists. Go drive the same dang neighborhoods, because I guarantee you there is a deal on the same street. Guarantee it.
Yeah, the competition's a good thing in real
Yep.
estate.
Yeah,
All right.
points.
So
It's like it marks the X. Like the gold's here, guys. Come here.
I talk about this in all of my videos. I talk about land is follow the demand, follow the money, and find the best states. And in those states, find the best counties. Find out where the demand is. Okay, so Texas is one of your states. By the way, I've had a hard time in Texas because it's hard to get comps.
You kind of have to have MLS access, right?
Yeah,
Like
so,
it's because, yeah.
so you do?
No, I'm not doing it in Texas. But we looked at like the Carolinas was good. Like
Yeah.
we found multiple states that had, volume like that. So we just kind of looked around and started dabbling in a couple different areas. And we ended up just choosing Florida more than anything because I'm already doing wholesaling there, right? I already had kind of a cash buyers list. I had a reputation, a title company, some of those things that I already needed.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say Florida is your state. You pick some. How many counties did you pick in Florida?
So we're currently testing them all. So we picked the ones that were close to where our title office was, because we already had a real estate agent in that area that was helping us with our single family stuff. So we're like, okay, well, if we find a deal, we'll have an agent right there in the area. That's why we picked that area. It wasn't like it was a lot of math that went into it. But for me, we've just kind of been picking one county at a time and hitting it with our first round of mail and just seeing the overall results. Do we get some quick revenue off of that county? What's our total ROI on that county? And we're quickly eliminating the worst and the best, and then we'll go back through and really laser focus on the best counties is kind of how we're going to approach it.
All right. So you doing direct mail?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
And what kind of direct mail are you sending?
So we just started split testing some new things. So we were doing an offer letter that actually was about 40% of what we thought the value was of a lot in those subdivisions. So like on Zillow, you can choose. So once you find the address that you want to market to, you can find out what subdivision it's in. right? Once you find the subdivision, you can have that be one of the filters on Zillow. And we were just saying, okay, lots of that size in that subdivision go for, let's say, $40,000. Well, then our offers was 40% of that. Roughly, what is that? Like
16 grand,
$26,000.
16.
16? Okay, 16. Yep.
All right. So then you were sending, at first you were sending blind offers, which was what? It's like a cover page and then a contract attached to it.
Yep. So it was actually just a one-page thing. It's like,
Okay.
hey, this is who we are, and then here's our offer, and go ahead and sign below.
Okay.
And the return mail. So it was actually just a one-page document that we were using, and I was actually kind of floored. We started getting signed contracts back in the mail. It shocked me, absolutely
Right.
shocked me, coming from the single family space.
All right. So then those calls, were they somebody answering them live, or they going to voicemail, or what were you doing?
Yeah. So if they call, we have it go directly to voicemail. And we do that with all of our marketing, just because I don't want my acquisitions guys getting burned out with the FU, how dare you send me a piece of mail calls.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then are you still sending the blind offers, or have you changed that a little bit?
Yeah, exactly. So we started with just the offers, because like I said, we were just testing this in the beginning. So all this revenue came from that. All this revenue to this date, roughly the $160,000 to $200,000 in revenue, right? It all came from offer letters. We did like a small little test. Like it was like a couple thousand of the addresses. We sent just letters with no offer. Dude, and our response rate was crazy. We had so many people calling that we could not keep up. Like my acquisition guy here in Utah couldn't keep up with the leads. He had too many leads. He couldn't even call them all. So we're like, okay, let's go back to offer letters and let's start preparing and training someone to take this over. So over the last 3 months, we brought on who's actually a student. He wanted to come work for free. We flew him out here. He started driving for us. He started doing lead management. We obviously didn't have him work for free, but I love the initiative, right?
Yeah.
And he started driving. He was doing driving for dollars for here in Utah, but then he also started doing lead management, helping Hayden qualify these leads that were coming in. And now he is our full-time land acquisition guy. I actually signed a land contract today. Shout out to Dustin. Super proud of him. Yeah. So now we're going a straight letters. So now, because he's going to be able to service those and have the time to do so.
I've always argued you do more deals with neutral letters, I call them, right?
Yep.
It's just a postcard or a letter that says, hey, do you want to sell your lot? Call our 24-hour recorded voicemail, and we'll send you an offer. Because you're going to get more calls that way, which means you're going to get more leads, which means you're going to have more, you're going to be able to make more offers and do more follow-up. You're going to have more follow-up people. So, and then your offers are going to be better too, aren't they? Because now you're looking at a deal and saying, all right, well, this one's on the water. This one's got a better access. This one, so you make a better, higher or lower
you
offer.
Send an offer. Yeah, or you send an offer too high and they're like, I'm interested, and then you do more due diligence on it and you're like, crap, we sent it out offering, 15,000. We should have only offered 4. And
so
that's a hard sell.
But, when you sent these blind offers, you're sending them at 40% of what you think they were worth.
Yep.
How much of them did you have to actually go back and renegotiate a lower price on? Would you say?
Well, it happened a lot. There was especially one subdivision we really screwed up on our comms, and poor Miguel, he does all of our marketing. He got razzed pretty good by the sales team.
but you still did deals. That's a crazy thing.
We still did deals. Yeah.
Ray, I had him on my podcast, and we've had him on twice. 2 of my most popular podcasts ever on vacant land. And he was saying sometimes what he'll do is he'll intentionally send offers 4 times too high just to get the phone to ring. And then what he does is like, oh, you know what? I'm sorry. That number's just not going to work. I'm looking here, and, what's the best you can do? And shuts up and listens, and the seller comes back. But I love that strategy, and sometimes there's a letter that we send that has the check that shows through the envelope. You know what I'm talking about? And we did that and got about a 2.2% response rate, which is pretty good. And but every single, and on that check is a dollar amount of what we can offer for your deal. Now, it's not a contracts, so it's kind of this combination of an offer and a neutral letter, but it's a check that's coming through an envelope. And it says, hey, if you want a real offer, call us,
I wonder how many people try and cash it.
Well, on the back, it says, do not deposit, not a real check, all of that stuff.
But still, how many still tried to deposit?
Maybe I don't know. Maybe I need to be careful about, we're more careful about that. But anyway, every single one of them that we turned, of the 3,500 letters that we sent, we got 7 deals under contract. 6. We got 6 deals under contract. So far, we've sold 5, and we might just cancel the 6th one, I think. I'm not sure where that's at yet. But it cost us, I don't know, about $4,000 in list and mail for that, probably less. And we've made 24, 48, another 15. We've made about $63,000 in profits from those offer letters, kind of as it was. And but those were the most hard. My acquisitions guy was upset. He's like, Joe, everybody is so mad at me. This is humiliating. This is embarrassing. And I said, I know. Just apologize blame them on, your manager made a mistake on the mail, and just apologize. But then turn around and ask them immediately, hey, this won't work for us. We're sorry, but what is the best you can do? Can you go any lower than that? And then listen to them talk. It's amazing. It works.
Yeah. Yeah, and we didn't necessarily want that either, and partly because we have both in Utah as well as now in Florida, we have a real estate agent that we push leads to for people that want to work with a real estate agent. So for me, I want anyone that has any intentions to sell to call us, because then we can pre-qualify. What do you need? What do you want? What's your time frame? What's the condition? Once we identify that their best interest is to not work with an investor, we say, maybe we're not the best fit. If you don't want to work with an investor, you want to squeeze the most, maybe it makes sense to work with a specialist that can get you an end buyer that will pay top dollar, and it'll take more time and more hassle. We have someone on our team that's we don't call them our real estate agent. We say we have someone that is a valuation expert, where they can give you. Why don't you
say real estate agent? Why don't you say realtor?
Because nobody likes them.
Well,
people
nice.
are going to hear that in the podcast and be like, no, that's not true. It's true. Nobody likes real estate agents. No, I'm just kidding, everybody. But nobody wants to be sold, right? For example, you pull up to the car dealership and this hungry salesman walks up and he's like, I've got the car for you. You're going to be like, ugh. Well, it was a joke, right? Like, there's a time and a place. That's why we pass people to real estate agents. There's a time and a need, and they shouldn't work with an investor because it's not in the seller's best interest. It's not what they want to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the opposite's true, and they don't want to work with an agent. It's not their best interest. It's not what they need. It's not what they want. So our job is to find out, find people that want to sell, and then find out how they want to sell and how they want to proceed. And so we do this with land. We do this with single family homes. And in just the last, I think, month and a half, just here in Utah, we've signed 4 listings on single family homes, just passing those leads. One of them was $1 million listing. I think we've got like $70,000 in revenue coming just from retail leads.
Now, you're a realtor yourself. Is that how you get the money from it?
No. So what he does is he has some marketing stuff that we bill him for. So we have ways that we can have him pay for marketing and so forth. So we don't necessarily make much off of it or make profits, but it helps supplement our marketing costs, which is huge, because they're leads that we're throwing away. There's people that need to be helped, and these agents need to pay for marketing. We basically do the marketing for them. Yep.
That's so good. Whenever I'm talking to an agent, I try to find out what's their time frame, what's more important to them. And I always ask, like, sounds like a nice property. Why would you even want to sell it? Or I might say something like, why don't you just list it with a realtor? Mm-hmm. Because if you want to get that much for the property, or if your goal is you got lots of time and you want to get the highest price for it, I'm not your guy. Why don't you just list it with a realtor? And I'm not an agent, by the way. I tell them that. And so it really does a lot on the negotiation part of it, because I'm not chasing them for a deal, right?
Yeah.
I'm making them come to me. I'm not sounding
Yeah.
desperate, going after them.
Most people don't believe that we really do this, Joe. They don't, right? They're like, why would you do that? You're going to talk your way out of a deal. And to prove Joe's point, if you watch day 4 of the 40-day challenge, I get Jerry Tidwell on the phone, who I love to death, wealthy investor himself. And 3 of the wholesale contracts I got, or 1 wholesale contract and the 2 rentals I got from Jerry. And I said that it's recorded. It's on day 4. And I say, Jerry, they're great condition. They're remodeled. Why don't you just list them with an agent? You'll make more money. And he says, I don't care. His sentence. I don't care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The lady I was talking to the other day, she just wants to leave Arkansas and go to Alaska. She doesn't care. She doesn't want them anymore.
Yep.
All right, cool. So these deals, real quick, did you try to buy them and close on them as soon as possible?
The land?
Yeah, the land deal.
Yes. I funded all of them with my own money. I bought them and just listed them is what I've done. I know there's ways to make more money by selling them, like seller finance, selling them on contract, basically, and charging interest and even make more money on the total price. So we sold all of them on the MLS, and all of them bought our land with cash offers.
Right. So you closed on them as soon as you could. You didn't wait, until you found a buyer and then closed on them.
No.
Okay.
No, we've closed on them within a week, every single one of them.
What are you telling people? What do you teach people that may not have the money, who can't close on them, like you did? And how do you recommend they do it?
Yeah, so you can wholesale them, just like you can do with a single family home. You can go to someone like me that's buying in that area. I have people that call me because they see me buying land. And I'm having people call me, wholesalers that are wholesaling land. I talked to a guy this week, actually. So you can wholesale them. What that is, if you're not familiar with this process, your purchase contract basically has to have a paragraph that says you can assign the contract to an end buyer, right? Obviously, talk to an attorney about the ins and outs of this. Make sure you have a solid contract. And then you can sign a contract with someone like me, the end buyer. And we have, how much the assignment fee is going to be coming to you. What's the total purchase price, all of that stuff, right? So it's a simple process. There's other options where you don't necessarily have to assign it to an end buyer, but you can go to an end buyer and partner, or you can go borrow money. You can borrow private money. I do borrow money as well. Like I have 2 rentals that I've purchased that I have private money. I've borrowed money. I have like $500,000 in rentals that I've purchased in the last 45 days. And I borrowed money from people that I know that I've met, and I'll refinance them out for long-term financing on these rentals. So I do borrow money as well.
That's the cool thing I like about land too. It's easier, in my experience, to borrow money on a $5,000 or $10,000 property than it is on a $150,000 house. It's just easier, and we're buying them for so cheap. We're buying them at 35 cents on the dollar. It's just the private investor is so much more protected. Okay, cool. It's funny too. I hear people all the time say, "Oh, you can't. Assignments don't work anymore. They're illegal, immoral, and fattening, and you can't list properties on the MLS that you don't own." We just did 2 deals in Florida, Southern Florida, where we bought them under contract for about $4,000 each, and we sold them each for about $28,000. So we bought them for $4,000, we sold them for $28,000. Would you believe it? We listed them on the MLS with a flat fee agent. We found a flat fee broker that listed them for $500, put them on the MLS, and we found a buyer that was willing to pay us a $23,000 assignment fee for those 2 deals. So we're buying them for $4,000. We're selling them for 30, whatever the numbers were. Our assignment fee was $24,000. I don't know what percent that is, but this guy didn't care because these were such good deals. And he just he said, listen, let's make this easy for everybody. I don't want to pay any more closing costs and I have to, and I'm sure you don't either. Let's just do an assignment fee. I don't care how much your assignment fee is. And, it just blew me away. Like I even was starting to get skeptical because it is harder to find a title company that lets you do that. It's getting harder to find a realtor that will list your deals that you don't own yet. But we did. We just started going around and asking, found a realtor that was willing to do a listing for us. We found a title company that didn't have any problems doing an assignment. And the thing is, it's a cash deal, so it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. The seller was happy to get rid of this property because they owed a ton of money in back taxes, and we took care of all of that. Anyway, I just like this business. I love this business because it's easy. I would say it's easier to do these deals than houses in many ways. So what's your,
I love it.
Zach, what you going forward then? What's your goal? You're going to keep on doing more land? You want to keep on ramping that up? Still doing houses too?
Mm-hmm. Yep. We have put in a lot of infrastructure this year, right? We went from a couple sales rep to we're up to 5, counting our real estate agents.
Good for you.
And since the beginning of this year, last year we did a little over $1 million in total profits, mostly all from wholesaling. Like we had like 1 or 2 flips. I did cherry pick some rentals, right? I'm cherry picking rentals every year. None of that counts. I have a separate business for that. But this year, our goal, and we're pretty well on pace to do a couple million. And a big part of that is land. I think land will attribute to about a quarter of that. And the rest will be from driving for dollars and wholesaling between the two markets. But we have enough infrastructure in place and everything set up that if not much else changes or improves what we've already built, we should be able to do 3 million the following year, right? Because, it takes time to build up the team and train the sales reps and get them, on their appointment to lead ratios that we need them to be. And so, things are looking really good. And it's mind blowing too, because I think back to 8 years ago, remembering washing windows. I purposely bank it. So my biggest window cleaning contract was America First Credit Union. And I purposely bank there to remind myself of how horrible it was. So every time I go to a branch, I'm like, I remember being on a ladder right there and washing these windows. So it's crazy.
I used to do janitorial work. I used to clean toilets and kitchens, and that's good to be reminded of those things, isn't it? And not forget kind of where you came from.
Well, and it's also this business is hard too. And if you guys watch the 40-day challenge, you see that it was a grind, that it was a struggle, and it it's not just rainbows and butterflies here. Even when you're making big checks, there's some hard moments. There's mistakes that you'll make, and there's deals that you miss out on, and it can be painful and frustrating and discouraging. Like, I don't want to paint like this perfect picture because it doesn't exist. But one of the reasons that I try and remember to focus on where life was is to help me stay grateful, right? To stay in a positive state, even with some of the stresses and struggles that we go through. Because, I remember fighting over a $20 DVD player that my wife bought because we were out of money, and it's pretty amazing how much life can change when you stay consistent and you learn some of these strategies and stay consistent to implementing them and make the mistakes that's required and have those growing pains that's required to find success. But yeah, it's work. It definitely is.
I was going to ask you some advice that you would give leaving this interview here, some advice you'd give to beginners, but I think you just said it right there. It's consistency in your efforts and not quitting, not giving up. Because we've talked about some big numbers on this podcast, everybody, and these results, again, are not typical. We're not promising that if you do what we tell you to do, you're going to make this kind of money. But I can promise you this: if you don't do what we tell you to do, you're not going to make anything. And most people fail in this business. Most people do not. They just quit when it gets hard, and they didn't realize that. Oh, I have to work. Oh, I have to invest money in marketing. I have to send letters. I have to talk to people. I don't want to do that. I just want to push buttons and have money fall from the sky. It just doesn't work that way. But, I love this business. Zach, if he had to, he could verify those numbers, those big numbers that we talked about. I could verify the numbers I've talked about. So this is a real business. You just have to make the decision, you guys listening, how bad do you want it? Do you really want to do this? Are you willing to put in the work, do the marketing, put the investment, and then be consistent with it? Be consistent is the key. That's the word for the day. Consistency. How about that?
Love it.
Zach, how can people reach you? You've got some cool stuff. You've got a course on driving for dollars. You got a YouTube channel. How can people get you?
Yeah, so you can follow me anywhere you like social media. So podcast is Driving for Dollars Mastery Podcast. You can find it anywhere you find podcasts. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. I have all of them. And so if you have a particular place you like to learn and consume educational content, I definitely create some pretty awesome stuff to help you guys. I want to bless your lives. But you can also go to dfdmastery.com. DFD, right, stands for Driving for Dollars, dfdmastery.com. I have a website there that breaks a few things down, a few trainings. There's also a hyperlink to our 40-day challenge in that website, dfdmastery.com. Get full access to that for free. So, yeah.
Thank you, Zack, for being on the show. I really do appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's an honor, always. Thank you, Joe.
Good. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching these videos. If you like my channel at all, please hit the subscribe button. Get the notification bell thing clicked so you can get notified when new videos come out. Really appreciate it. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Comment down below, all right? Thank you.